Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unified Personal Development. So grateful and so happy and so excited to not only get this up and running as far as Unified goes. Let me go ahead and go to participants here. I'm just going to mute everybody. There we go. Anyways, I'm so excited, and my co-host and dear friend, Dr. Velvete, she's very excited too, to bring you this wonderful series. It is well needed. We're just very, very excited. So before I continue, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get started on this wonderful topic.
And this was perfect timing too, Wendy.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely.
There we go. All right, so here we are. Just fixing my screen. So this is Regaining Your Knowledge, Regaining Your Power courses. And this is just a name that kind of came right out of spirit to go ahead and label this and other courses that myself and Dr. Velvete will be sharing, and maybe even Dr. Velvete. I haven't talked to you yet about that. It's not mine. It's not my baby. This is owned by the universe. This is owned by the divine, and it's just information coming to you. So before we begin, let me, for those of you that really don't know who and what I do in truth. So my name is Wendy Morgan, and I am a spiritual mentor. My license actually is in the physical therapy field, and I have like 37 certifications in the energy healing arts and alternative healing methods. I was born basically being an empath and a channeler when I was born, just very young age. I thought everybody knew how to do it. And so as I went into my 20s, I just started, I learned everything that I could learn. It's like, you're just dying, you're a sponge and you just want to pick it all up. So I learned all about, took theology in college. I learned about many different healing modalities, and I went out and I started healing everybody. I'm a master massage therapist, and I started teaching. So I've been teaching and running courses for about 25 years now. But it's literally been to just small groups who kind of hear me by mouth. So this is the first time, not first time, this is like the second time coming out in public. And I'm so glad I've got Dr. Velvete with me to share this information with you. So as is alluded in our previous outline, so you will get the live for free. And I'm thinking about uploading it potentially for those who cannot take this time at 11 o'clock. If you know anybody who's like, I just can't make it, I will share it with them once for a certain period of time. But if you'd like to have the recording of this, so it's in your library, you can constantly, revisit it, then just a donation would be fine, and it's yours. So that's how we're going to play that. So with that being said, thank you and welcome. And I would love to introduce to you my wonderful co-host and dear friend, Dr. Velvete. Dr. Velvete, would you please like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. And I tell you, when I was listening to Wendy's background, I was like, oh my gosh, we are twins. Because like Wendy, I was intuitive very young, and didn't have much support as a child growing up because my parents were very aware of my gift and my talent. But I was always told, don't tell people what you see, don't tell people what you hear. So as an adult, I wanted to find out what was going on. I wanted to learn more. And so I decided, like Wendy, I was in massage, but while in massage, I also said there's more than this. And I became a metaphysician. And the metaphysical part of it really answered a lot of questions. And after I honed those skills, and after I was able to articulate my gifts and my ability, I was asked to do speaking engagements. I've done women expos. I've been a commentator for a local radio station. I also am the author of Higher Mind, Lower Mind, as well as Dreams, Speaking to Your Subconscious Mind. And I teach a program called Intuitive Insights. And this is much needed. You guys are going to get an amazing treat here today, because when we're talking about some of the things that we're going to be talking about today, this is really going to dig down deep into the truth of who you are and bring some of those gifts, powers, and abilities to the forefront. But guess what? You get to do it with people who have already gone through much of what you'll go through and can be there to help guide your steps, but also to be there as a support when you need extra reassurance that you're okay. So that's it in a nutshell. And I really look forward to being here with you, Wendy. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else. All right, so let's move forward. So this particular section of our courses is about deprogramming and reprogramming money, or deprogramming money and reprogramming creation, your ability to create. And so this is just stage one here. So I want to share with you exactly how do we perceive our world? How do we attract / create what comes to us and what we experience? Well, all has to do with our focus. Our focus, you can think of is our superpower. For those of you who are, Christian based, we have the ability, the will, right? The will was installed and stowed within us. And our willpower is what gives us the power to bring things into fruition as such. And so it's just a different word I'm using is our focus. So our focus, which is you're the thinking, your feeling process, whatever hamster wheel may be rolling around on that subconscious that we say to ourselves in the background that we may not even be aware of, but still, happens because we're so used to the chatter, but also things that which we resist upon. And so what do I mean by that? So, negative things or things that I shouldn't say negative, not so friendly experiences that we've had in the past, right? We have, sorry, my phone went off. We create a resistance to it. We don't like it. So we're kind of constantly focusing on it in a different fashion versus, focusing on our vision board of things we want to desire and bring in. But we also, through resistance, we're focusing on things that we don't really desire. So focusing, thinking, or resisting on any belief will bring it into fruition or having it flourish. All beliefs start as an experience. An experience, if impactful, whether it be, great or not so great, and therefore it lodges in our cells. We broadcast it out, similar experiences to be repeat themselves over and over again. That creates a program within our subconscious and within our cells. And that's basically what we're going to address first thing right out the door. So this one, I talked to Velvete, and we thought this was an extremely important slide to put in. So creating anything is not a magic wand. So if you come to this wonderful, training which we're sharing with you today, and just think that once, you're going to watch it and you're just going to get it and you're done. And it should just come to you, and go through this whole series actually, and just watch the live and don't do any work. And, it should happen. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. You need to do the work. You need to work on clearing out those lower vibrations so you can rise into higher vibration. And that's where we are in that creative space with our divinity. And that's basically reclaiming your power. And Velvete, I know you've got something to say here.
And the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. It becomes second nature for you to step into catching those thoughts, catching what you're resisting, because what we resist will persist. And so it might not be like magic in the beginning, but then as you continue to work the processes, as you continue to know who you are, miracles do begin to happen. But miracles are simply things that you don't understand how they happen. But then once you realize that you are the creator and that you are doing this, it's just going to become a little easier. Just got some work to do ahead of time. Thanks, Wendy.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on here. All right, to release these programs, we must first acknowledge it, right? You can't say, I'm going to go to the store and not really have a list and knowing what you're going to the store for, right? You need to know what programs, what beliefs, what are your barricades? What are your obstacles? If we're not aware of them, then we're not going to be able to work with them and clear them out. So therefore we have a clear runway. So we first must acknowledge them. How, you might say, can we do that? Well, the first thing is learn the art of observation. So not only you can observe your outer environment, yes, but more so I'm talking about observing your own thoughts, observing your own feelings, your emotions. How are you reacting? Why are you reacting that way? What is it triggering? What are your thoughts? What are your looping thoughts? What is going on in that monkey mind, right? What are you saying to yourself on a consistent basis? You know, I know a friend of mine, or one of my clients, sorry, and well, she's a friend of mine too. But anyways, in the beginning, she's like, "What are you talking about? I don't know." But once she started paying attention, she realized that she would go through the day as things would not go her way, or something, maybe, you know, break a glass, or, you know, forgot to call somebody, or then she would have it around, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, stupid you. You went ahead and did that again. Dang it, you know, I can't stand life when it does this. And she started to realize, wow, I have a lot of negative verbiage going on that brain, just constantly on repeat. And the thing is, it's been going on, that chatter's been going on so long that you don't even pay attention to it. And one thing I also want to to bring to mind is, if you already are in that space where you can observe what you're thinking and what that, you know, that constant chatter is, if you can observe it, it's not you. And I'm going to have you talk on that one, Velvet. But if it's not, if you can observe it, it's not you. It is separate from you, right? That means that's something that's been plugged in, that is a record that's been played over and over again when you're young. Perhaps when you're young, you know, your parents, your peers, or someone kept saying, "Oh, you're so stupid. You can't do anything." And that record is on repeat playing in your back of your mind. That's somebody else's verbiage. That's not yours. So that's fun, because we know we can take out that trash. Um, and so basically, through observing your thoughts and your emotions, you pay attention to and learn what is really not working for you. And that's really easy to look out in the environment, right? Like, for instance, I just went through a big thing, and I wasn't even aware that certain personalities that were in my life, my work life, you know, I justified why they were there, but I realized they were just not working for me. And lo and behold, spirit basically cleared that up for me, as it was a little turmoil. It's better if you do it on your own, but when spirit jumps in, it's like your door being busted down. It's like, whoa. So it's always good to get ahead of on these things, but nevertheless, you know, acknowledge what's not working, and then realize, where is that coming from? So, um, so if you don't know basically how to even step on this, basically, we're also going to go into muscle testing. So Velvet, please continue to extrapolate.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up to be aware that it might be somebody else's thoughts, because one of the examples I've given in several of these webinars is the time where I'm making my bed, and I'm slamming the sheet, and I'm talking ugly about men and how men are lazy and blah, blah, blah. And I stopped myself and I said, wait a minute. Where is that thought coming from? That's not my thought. And I instantly could see where that thought was coming from a family member who spoke badly about other people. So when we catch ourselves in that moment, that is also the perfect time to say, stop. That is not my thought. And this is what I believe. I love men. I love that they are of service. I love how they're protective, and that you wash that away. And sometimes we don't know that those thoughts are coming outside of us, and we start acting upon them when we really need to stop ourselves and say, is this really who I want to be? Is this really who I am? And then change that into what a positive belief, or what you better believe about it, and it'll fade completely away. So I thank you for allowing me to give an example on that, because so many times we're in the middle of doing dishes and we get angry and we don't even know why we're angry. It's somebody else's thoughts. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Wendy.
It's
So I'm
okay.
going to take, that's all right. I just kind of faded out right there. So what we want to do is learn how and practice being observant to our thoughts. And these are all thoughts. Like, I mean, they're not just negative thoughts. They're all thoughts. How are they lifting up? How do they serve you in your world? But how do they also serve humanity? Acknowledge what is working for you and not working for you. This is important to know. Hey, this is working, this isn't working, so that you can make those minor adjustments where you need to. It's also important to ask your body soul by muscle testing. We're going to talk about muscle testing here in a little bit. We'll give you a couple of examples, and we might even share a different way that we do it. We did have a webinar that Wendy and I did. We'll talk about that a little bit later for those of you that have never heard of muscle testing before. But many of you are practitioners and you're pretty knowledgeable about muscle testing. So in the muscle testing, we're able to look at what programs are holding that we're holding around money. Now, when we're thinking about money, it's not just the gold and the silver, right? Money is also about worth. It's about value. Money shows up in relationships as well. Maybe I'll have an opportunity to talk about that later. So we're going to step into this section this week, today, clearing. We're going to help you to learn how to clear some of these programs, how to clear these blocks. We're going to use tapping as one of them. And then, of course, Wendy's going to talk about her I am agape step as well. So thank you.
What I want to step in on that is acknowledging what you're, what is not working for you or what is working for you. You know, we're going to be focusing a lot on what is not working for you. But we don't want to stop there. We want to literally, because, you know, that's just like, oh my gosh, so much is not working for me, but so much is working for you. So we do want you to take that time and really put the emphasis on, really also focus on what is working for you, because that means you've got some great patterning, you've got some great programs running, you've got some great energy that's broadcasting out of your being, that's bringing these wonderful things into your life, and you're doing it. Your focus is doing that. So it's so important to give yourself that pat on the back. I've got that power and I created that. And we'll probably go more into that as different classes continue. So as we said earlier, so now we're going to go into observing your thoughts and feelings. So what thoughts are on repeat concerning finances, for instance, since this is about money? But honestly, you could change finances about anything. And honestly, I would actually change it to what thoughts are on repeat concerning yourself, your being, who you are, what are you about, how do you think, how do you perform, how good of a mother you are, how are you at business, how are you attracting money or holding on to money, how are you finances. So those are the thoughts you kind of really, all of them, but those are specifically ones that you really want to pay attention to. What are your feelings when it comes to your current financial experience? So we're going into feelings now and emotions. So a lot of us get triggered, right? I know, and it's still with me, even though I've worked on this one so much. If all of a sudden I find my bank account in a space that I didn't expect it, like all of a sudden, you know, a bill came out that you, and it was a big bill that you didn't remember to put down, right? And it's almost like, oh, right. I just automatically go in that, that gut wrenching, you know, reaction of, oh my gosh. And it's basically that stems from my growing up of me having money, and certain somebodies would basically come in and take my money, and they would take my money. And so it was a program like, if I make it, it's just going to be taken away, right? And I've worked on that. And some things, guys, you're going to be working on in different ways. That's why we're going to give you the emotionally freedom technique, also known as tapping. And we're also going to work on guided imagery, and we're also going to work on the I'm agape process. So, you know, some people are really more in the subconscious and the mental body, and Velvete, you might correct me on this. And that's maybe more for tapping. And I know y'all be like, I can feel it now. And then, but, you know, guided imagery, that could be anything. And then I'm agape is mainly for the emotional body, which kind of governs all bodies. So basically you do have to pay attention to what is being reactive in you and what is constantly playing up here. And what was spoken to you when you were young about money. That's something that's really, really important. My dad, in the 70s, he was wealthy, guys, you know, and I didn't, you know, when you're 9, 10 years old, you don't know what wealth is. But nevertheless, he was, you know, taking in $4,000 a month, you know, clear. And back in the 70s, that was pretty darn big. But in his mind, he taught women should not go to school. Women should, you know, women had their place. And what was else? Nobody, he didn't like anybody that made more money than him. And if he bought me anything, it was still his, and he could take it away at any given time. So you could just see how those, I mean, And through a whole lifetime of being under his roof, you know, up until my later teenage years, you can see how that laid down a belief system and a program, you know, not only just about money, but also about men. You know, oh my gosh, they're so controlling and. So there's a lot of things I need to pay attention to. So please, Velvet, comment on, because I'm guys, so I'm not, I've done EFT or tapping. I use it many, many times, but I'm not an expert like Velvet. Velvet, would you comment on that?
So on the EFT, when we get into that a little bit further, when you have these thoughts that are on repeat cycle, and I'll use the one that Wendy used when it came to her father being able to take stuff away from her, right? So she had this idea that if I had money, somebody was going to take it. And I actually had that one as well and have been able to break free of that. But when you have that growing up where you're kind of feeling like, man, every time I get money, it's just taken away. There's a couple of conditions or effects that are going to happen from that. One is that you may spend all your money as soon as you get it because you're afraid somebody's going to take it. The other one is that you and if you don't want to spend your money, then all of a sudden you've got all of these people with their hand out because you just got paid, and the program that is running in your mind is that is whenever I have money, somebody's always taking it from me. Then they're going to have their hand out to take that money as well, and then they're going to guilt you into it, right? So it's your money. They didn't prepare for their life, but then you're going to feel guilty just as you did when you were younger, and it's going to slip away. So when we do the EFT tapping, you guys will be able to write down some of those programs that are running on for you, and we'll show you how to tap out that. The other thing that's really important is that when you notice something like what thoughts are on repeat concerning finances, I've used this example as well. So I asked my husband to marry me, my fourth husband. I asked him to marry me. And when I did, I said to him, I know nothing about romance, absolutely nothing about romance, but I am excellent in business. So if you marry me, we will run our household like a business. And he just looked at me and said, great. And we've been together almost 30 years now. Right. So you also have to know where you have drawn the line in an old programming and how it can benefit you in your new life and really grow and strengthen from that. So, yeah, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, thank you. That is amazing. I like how you flip that around. That is amazing. And so guys, I also, you know, Jenny, thank you very much for saying what you said. Because Jenny said, it seems like all these programs are stemming from childhood. Yes, and yes, and by the way, yes. So from 0 to 7 years of age, you are in an absolute pliable mind. You're completely in the subconscious. You are like a sponge. Anything and everything is being absorbed as a truth. You don't sit back and think, is that a truth or not? Is that real? Does that work for me? Or is it just that it worked for them? You know, or is it their program that's running their show and hence it's passing on to me? You know, we don't have that ability to observation and discernment because we're kids. Hello, our brain is not even through being developed. And then from 7 to 15 years of age, it's still mainly your subconscious, but basically some of it started coming into the consciousness now where you're actually playing out what's already been programmed into the subconscious. And then after 15, you know, now you're kind of like on, most everybody is on autopilot. They're just allowing the subconscious and the vibrations in your body to run the show, to broadcast, to tract back. And that's why, you know, I remember, I don't know if many people were like this, but I used to journal a lot when I was in my teenage years, and I keep them all. And I finally got rid of them when I moved, and man, was that liberating. But anyways, and I remember going through the journals, and I kid you not, I would go through year after year after year, and it would like things would repeat in cyclical patterns. And it's like, why am I attracting the same boyfriend? Why am I on the same problems? Why do I have the same money issues? And it's all because of what was playing in here and what I was holding in my cellular body. And aren't you lucky? This is what we're going to clear out. This is what
So, Wendy, I'd like to add one other thing because you brought up a valuable point when you were talking about those programs as a kid. We need to be mindful that when you're a child from that age of, you're not really conscious of anything, right? You're only conscious that you're going to be fed and taken care of. But when you're not at that time, when a parent isn't there to meet your needs, a child is automatically going to be thinking, I'm unlovable.
Mhm.
So that is now a program that will get into the cellular body, and that's going to play out over and over again. So parents that ignore you, oh, I must not be worth seeing, right? Or if a parent says something to you that children should be seen and not heard, my voice isn't valuable, right? So this is really good. Thank you for allowing me to share that, Wendy.
Please interrupt anytime. All right, I think you have the next slide.
Yes. So acknowledge what is not working for you and what is exactly what I said a minute ago. I knew business. So when I asked my husband to marry me, I was like very confident in that. And when you know what is working for you, then you're going to be able to build on it. And you're going to be able to start weeding out some of those negative beliefs about yourself or that old programming about yourself, because eventually it builds and it'll wash over you. Did you want to add anything else to that one, Wendy?
Yeah, so you said, I was reading the notes, but acknowledge what you said is working for what is not. Yes. So, one of the things that we do as business, as leaders, and I know I do it, and I know Velvete does it, is if someone new comes on, including yourself, guys, learn what your strengths are, right? That's what's working for you. And man, step on top of that podium and go to town on what works for you. What I dislike, as I get so many people calling me from different places, goes, my upline, all they do is they do what do you call it when you do go to like stores and you do like a pop-up table.
Oh, the events.
Thank you. And they do
Mhm.
events, but I am not an outdoor I don't feel comfortable talking to people. It's like, no, do what you know how to do best. And yes, I brought up business just then, but it could be in everything. It could be in relationships. One of the biggest problems, my kids, I have 3 girls, and both of my older girls, they'd always make the stink of, oh, I kind of like that guy. I'm not really sure. Or all my friends think that I need to be with him. Worst decision ever, right? Do what you know works for you and grow and build up. Trust your instinct, trust your intuition. And the things that aren't so great, then work on them. All we can do is work on them. And they're there, like Jenny alluded to, because of a program that was written when we were kids. And they're very easy to override and to reprogram to something that's working for you.
Yeah,
So
we're not going to be reprogram people to become Wendy's. You are you. You are unique, and that's what's important.
absolutely. Be you. Be you. Only
Hmm.
you came to this world. God put some gifts in you and the verbiage in you and the tone of your voice that's going to
Yeah.
resonate with only a certain select people. You are so needed in this world.
That's
So
right.
inquiring to your programs via muscle testing. So some of you might be, I don't know what my programs are. Well, that's what we're going to kind of help you out the door. Once you get a move on, get some momentum going, then you're going to get the hang of this and you're going to understand it. So muscle testing, right? Or kinesiology is a great way to see the unknown programs that are running your show. Muscle testing is to access the body's energy flow. In truth, it's all it really is. And identify techniques for balancing out the energy, a way to find the programs, and also, which program should I use to clear it? What would my body best respond to with this particular program? It is based on the idea that our body, our mind, and our soul is working and forming a whole. You cannot separate one from the other. So there are many, hang on, there's something else I want to say. So yeah, okay, I'll say that in a second. There are many different ways to muscle test, and I some of these honestly I just gave a name to it, guys. So if you Google it, rabbit in a hole, you probably won't find it. I just gave it a name to be fun with the names. But such as different muscle testing types like rabbit in the hole, finger lock, finger over finger, body sway, somatic, to name a few. Now, for instance, when you're using your hands, is a really common way to muscle test. the muscles in your hand, presuming you are hydrated and you're not injured, are equal in strength. And so that's why it's a real good method to use your hands to muscle test. Any thoughts here?
Mhm. Yeah, and even if you're using a pendulum, a lot of people think, well, I'll use an external source and I don't have to worry about being hydrated or what I eat or drink, but it is still a connection with your body. And so the pendulum, if you use a pendulum, you still need to be well hydrated and you need to center yourself because, again, if you're off center, that can knock your system out of balance and that can play a big role in what truths or untruths you get regarding muscle testing.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And if anybody's interested in how do you use a pendulum or even dowsing, please let us know. Say, yes, me, I want to know. And perhaps we'll go into that next time as well. Just kind of, vaguely go over that as well. I remember the first time I did a pendulum was working with just a pencil. And it was when I was 15, because sorry, cat's out of the bag. I got pregnant when I was 16. But anyways, I remember asking my body, how many children I would have and what the sexes would be. I kid you not. All of them came through. All of them came through. Because why? Because what the pendulum is usually made out of, like I was using pencils that are lead, you are electromagnetic being. So it's going to interact with that pendulum. That's one way to look at it. All right. So I think you have the next slide.
Yeah. So let me move this out of the way here. Prior to muscle testing, we just covered a couple of them. You need to be well hydrated. I also like to add a little Celtic salt to my water to really kind of get that down into the cells. And that's kind of important for us as well. So you also want to clear your space and clear all your ties. You don't want anything distracting you from around, but you also don't want anything that might bump into you or have a question. I also want to bring this up when it comes to our space is that if your space is cluttered, that's a representation of where your mental status is. Where is your mind? So when you get ready to do muscle testing, it's really important to clear your mind, clear your heart, and to clear your space. And when it's talking about clearing all ties, this also means you need to put your cell phone in another room. No iPads, no computers, because when that thing goes off, the first thing that's going to happen is your attention is going to be drawn to that. All right, so command, you receive answers to your highest good. So what this is meaning is that everything that you are receiving this is for my greatest and highest good. You can say that. I'm going to receive the answer that is the highest and greatest to my good. And here's what I find a lot of people will do is that they get that answer, and then what happens is they start doubting, and they're like, really, is that to my highest and greatest good? Especially when they get a no, that they're not supposed to do something when they have true intentions that they were going to do it no matter what the pendulum said or no matter what their physical sense said. But here's something to think about. If you have already asked it, then there's already some kind of, disconnect there. So if you're wanting to know if you need to go have dinner or a steak dinner with a guy you've never met before, you already had that feeling that something's not right. And if the pendulum says, no, don't do it. And then you turn around and say, are you sure? That it's just going to be counterintuitive. All right. So breathe and clear your minds and clear your emotions and remove all those distractions, including any outcome that you are wanting to see for yourself. This is not the place that we're doing that. And it always has to be a yes or no question. Right. So if, should I have surgery? Yes or no. Right. Am I supposed to have a hot dog or a hamburger is not the right question. Right. It's got to be a yes or no question. And again, excuse me, don't force an answer. That's kind of like what I was just talking about a minute ago. The answer is not coming from your conscious mind, but rather from your greater internal self. And you need to surrender to that. right? And you're asking for that to show up in your physical reality. And it really is, folks. It's the quickest way because the subconscious mind also communicates with you out here. She gives you signs and symbols all the time. But this is really just a quick and easy way to access that internal self and get a very quick answer. So, got to remember to center yourself.
Yeah, when it comes to also clearing your ties, guys, we as human beings, we are innately connected to other people. We are connected to other thoughts, projecting into something in the future, or still connected in things of the past, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll spend, maybe next time continuing instead with the Amagape, but continuing on, different ways to test, but also how to recall and reclaim all that energy that we have going out. So you also want to clear your ties from that. And a really easy way that's been taught to me that I just absolutely love is once you get, into this nice quiet space, taking some deep breaths and just relaxing. But imagine a vortex of energy going around you in one direction, just like a circular energy going all the way up and all the way down. And, if purple looks good to you, great. I'm just saying, if you feel like you want to bring a color in, fantastic. I'm just saying energy, but whatever your intuition says, this is what we need. Trust it. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to trust your answers. We're so programmed. You don't know anything. You do. You know so much. Learn to trust it. Start investing on yourself and believing in you. But so I want you to create that vortex going in one direction. Once you've got it going pretty good, and if you're doing it right now, I highly recommend it right now, doing it right now. Just imagine that vortex going in one direction all around your body. Now, if you can, imagine another vortex outside of that one, however, rotating the opposite direction. Now, as soon as you get them both going, you will feel this relief of, oh, because all those ties of everybody connecting to you, sucking your energy, or you choosing to give the energy to them, or those thoughts, or they're just gone. So if you did that and you say, yeah, I felt that, raise your, put a thumbs up in the chat. I love that one personally. There are many other ways, yes, to do that as well, but that's one way to clear your ties. And also I want to comment on don't force an answer. Yes, with complete yes, yes, and yes to what Velvete said. But another thing is, a lot of time I use this one. And this is easy because I can be in the store, I can have my hand behind the back, no one's seeing it, right? And I can use this type of muscle testing. But other times you're like, I want a certain answer. So I'll push really hard, or I'll push really hard. And I end up straining and getting tendonitis. I kid you not. Guys, this is not a battle with your body. And so that's why, Velvete said earlier, clear the mind. This is not coming from your conscious. Yes, I want chocolate cake, right? No, the body does not want that sugar. So it's going to say no. Sorry to go and break it to you, but it's going to say no. But anyways, so, stop trying to force it. Muscle testing is very simple. It's very easy. It doesn't take much. You'll feel it's more energy than it is trusting that strength of that muscle. We're not, I'm going to, see how strong it is. It's not that type of testing. So just trust the universe, trust your being within that space. All right, so here we're going to start muscle testing. So this is just different types and fashions which we're going to share with you today. So this one, rabbit and hole. Again, this is the name I just gave it because I'm like, I've got to name it something. I have no idea what else to name it. So it's really, really simple. So some people use the ring finger. I personally use the second finger. And so these guys are equally in strength as in a contraction or as an extension. So, bringing it together, pushing it apart, they're equally in strength. Assuming that you've already done the previous that Velvete went over, right? You are hydrated. You have no distractions. You've taken some deep breaths. You evaluated your body. Okay, I'm a little sore in my back. Arms a little sore. Oh, no, I feel pretty good, right? Okay, so now I'm ready for muscle, and I've cleared my field. Just did that a while ago. So I'm going to go ahead and put my finger like so, right? And then I'm going to put the other fingers just like it. So I'm trying to find where you can see that, just like it, in the middle, just like this. And my point is I'm going to try to use this finger to push apart these guys. So I'm trying to push them apart like so. Okay. And again, not trying to force it to happen. I'm just being, so first I'm just going to test. My name is Wendy. Yeah, strong. My name is Joe DiMaggio. No, it's not, obviously. All right. I need water. Yes, I do. So I already drink water, but let's take some more here. Okay. And you can ask simple questions, just like, Velvet just alluded to, do I want that hot dog? Do I want a hamburger? Okay. Does my body want a salad? I've got some fresh juices in my refrigerator. Do I want a fresh juice? Yes, it is time for me to eat. So you can go to a restaurant. You can go anywhere, including picking up, I'll just use this bean bag as an example, including picking up chicken, guys, in the grocery store. And you can just put it, hold on to it and just put it, near your body. And if you're muscle testing this way, or just, put it on your grocery cart so your belly's next to it. Is this healthy for me? Yes or no? Because there are some contaminants now in our food. And so that's a good way to test that too. So we're going to share with you several different ways you can practice all. That's what this next week is about, guys. Practice, practice, practice. Velvet, you want to take finger lock?
Yeah, the finger lock is a nice one to do as well when you don't really want to wear out this muscle or do that well. But the finger lock, I like this one because basically you just make a ring with your fingers and then you're pulling against. So my name is Velvet is very strong. My name is Cherie is not strong. They're both pulled at the same amount of strength. So this one is an easy one also to use with other people that you're wanting to test as well, because they get to see it, right? And they can see the difference in the strength of it. So just practice that one on top of what one did you just do? The finger on top of the finger. Yeah. So this one is just super, super easy. It can be done very quickly.
Okay, so this one is just like what we're just alluding to, finger on top of finger. And you can do it either way, the first finger be on top of the second, or the second can be top of the first. And again, my name is Wendy Morgan. My name is Joe DiMaggio. It just gives away, guys, all naturally. And again, you don't want to really try to hold it, or you're going to end up pulling a muscle or injuring yourself. Again, you don't want to do it, just nice and gentle. So this is another fashion. To do.
And you'll get used to what you like to do, right? So Wendy likes that one, and that one's difficult for me. I have never been able to find comfort in that one, but I see lots of people walk around muscle testing themselves with this one. So just find your comfort level and what feels good to you.
Yeah. And guys, there are way more than this. I mean, I was on the web last night just trying to find different pictures, and I was like, wow, okay, there's one that does this and one that does this, and there's just many, many, many different ways. So we're just sharing a few with you. You want to take this one?
I love the body sway one because this can happen anywhere. Like if you're standing in a store, you definitely want to know what your yes and no is, though, because I actually watched a woman who was testing and her yes and no's were backwards. So backwards was yes for her and no was forward for her. For me, yes has always been forward and no has always been backwards, and a sideways. And I was really shocked when I finally had a sideways. It's like rocking back and forth. That is, I need to redefine what I'm asking. I need to know more of what it is that I'm trying to get an answer for. So there's an indecisiveness, right? If we're moving back and forth, there's an indecision or an indecisiveness. Now, this is really, really good. Like if you're standing in a grocery store, or if you're coming upon somebody, that your body is not going to, jump forward. It's not going to fall backwards. It's a gentle sway. So most people don't even recognize that it's happening. Now, here's something that's really powerful. When you're in tune with yourself, and let's say that somebody's talking to you and you've got some questions that are going on, and all of a sudden you start feeling yourself going back or you feel yourself going forward, that's your subconscious mind already communicating with you that, yes, this is good information. No, this is not good information. And this is another tool that I used actually when I was a marketing director for an x-ray company. I was having to deal with a bunch of people and I didn't know what was happening. I had to research, why is it that every time I move forward, there was a good outcome to the event, but if I went back, there was a negative outcome to it. So you got to listen to your body and you can adjust for that. So maybe some of those outcomes that wind up being negative, if I had listened to my body then and said, no, you need to redirect this, you need to change this, we could have had a better outcome. So this is a really good one just to play with if you're able to stand up and be in upright position.
Yes, and one thing we have not outlined, yes, guys, but Velvete just alluded to it, which is before you start asking your questions, you need to first find your yes and find your no. For instance, if I was doing this, my name is Wendy Morgan, and it's like it's really cool because if you really pay attention, it's like an internal pull that pulls you forward. Okay, so that's a yes. Or if I got, my name was Wendy Morgan, I fell back, then I'd be like, oh, okay, I probably need to drink more water. I didn't clear my space. And some of you might say, you're talking about going in a grocery store or going into a restaurant, and that's not without distractions, guys. Yes, you are correct. But we're talking about once you master this, then you can take it anywhere because those things will not distract you. Your body knows what this is, that knows what you're about to do. And so it's going to prep, it's going to prepare. It's like, okay, we're going to body test now. Your body is already in that memory, that muscle memory, lack of better words. And so, yes, you can take it anywhere. So yeah, if you do get that yes going back or that no going forward, that usually means something, either you maybe are being distracted, your field's not being clear, somebody, is connected to you, or you need water for the most part. So semantic testing. So we're going to do this one because this is a really easy one that anyone and all of us can actually do. And so I would like for everybody, if you could just take, just close your eyes and just take some deep breaths. Now, I'm not seeing all of you. Let me go ahead and see if I can see all of you for a second. No, I'm not able to because I'm sharing the screen. Okay, so I'm just going to have to take my word. So I'd like for think of you, those of you that have a pet or you had an animal somewhere in your life. Is there anyone that did not have an animal sometime in their life? If so, please speak up now. Okay, I'm assuming everyone had animal or pet. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because we love our animals unconditionally, right? Just that's it, right? Mic drop. We love animals unconditionally. So that's why I want you for this particular exercise to think about an animal. Now I'm going to say some things that are not going to feel great. Don't worry, we'll go back to making it feel great again, okay? So again, close your eyes, take some deep breaths. And in your deep breaths, I just really want you to focus on your body. What does it feel like? Do you feel uncomfortable? Maybe you need to readjust your seating. Does your back hurt? Or is it somewhere else in your body that hurt? Do you feel like vibration or heat or cold? So I just want you to pay attention to all of this. Just kind of take it into account because that's basically it's your baseline. Okay. So that's your baseline. That's like normally where you're at right now. Okay. All right. Take another deep breath. Now I want you to say to yourself, I love, and state your animal's name, either one you currently have or you had. And I want you to say that 3 times and pay attention to the sensation that arrives within your body. So I'm just going to give you a minute to do that. Now, most of you probably felt some sort of sensation in the frontal part of your body, right? For me, because I mentioned my cat, I felt like a fuzziness in my face, down my throat, in my heart. My heart felt warm all the way down, basically my center meridian. And that just felt warm and yummy. And if anything, yeah, safe all over, as Jenny says, yeah, it just feels really good. Now, I apologize. This is the part that I apologize for. Now I want you to say the very name again, but I want you to say, I hate that very name. Okay, 3 times. Now, I don't want you. Woo, I don't like that. Okay, pay attention to how that felt. Now I want you to say again, I love the very same name. Do that again. Okay, bring you back into a good feeling. So that bad feeling, I mean, when I said I hate my animal, right? Immediately I felt tears come to my eyes. I felt very much discord in my body. I felt a lump in my solar plexus. It just felt wrong throughout my body, right? And so Jean says, sorry, didn't feel a thing, new to all this. Absolutely, Jean, this is new. And maybe you just need to get to a place where you're quieter. And maybe that's not the right muscle testing fashion for you. That's okay. This is just teaching you a new thing. Yeah, Karen goes, I had a lump and in my throat and I ended up, oh, was it burped? Yes. So everybody feels something different. But that's a really good indication. That's called somatic muscle testing, where you can just feel it within your body. So that's just another type of muscle testing.
Very
So
good.
with this, guys, we're going to go into a little bit deeper as far as your questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, so on this one, we do want to keep it positive and to remember not to judge yourself, but also be careful about judging someone else that you might be preconditioned to judge of like it's somebody else's fault. So when we're looking at these common disempowering programs, we can ask these questions and muscle test to see if we're strong in it or if it's weak. So if it's strong, then we believe that statement about ourselves. If it is weak, then we do not believe that about ourselves. And it's a place for us to begin to investigate. Now, we're going to go through them just very quickly, right? So we're just going to hit a couple of them just to kind of get you the idea, especially the ones that are around money or finances. So if you are having money issues, am I worthy? Right? So you could muscle test that one. If this is something that you want to muscle test, then go ahead and write it down or go ahead and do it very quickly. I am enough. Now, a lot of people don't realize this is well weaved into our finances. If I don't feel enough, then I'm also disempowering myself in the value that I am receiving all around me, whether it's food, clothing, money, relationships. So you really got to ask yourself, am I enough? Now, God loves me. Now, if you have issues with the word God, then use spirit, use source, use higher self as love. And I'll explain this. So we were doing a community service with children one time. We were saving them. We were rescuing them. And one of the members on the board said, well, the very first thing we need to do is when we get these kids in here, we need to tell them that God loves you. And I said, we will never say that. And he looked at me and he said, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, these kids have been harmed. They don't trust God. They saw their parents as God. And if you start telling them that God loves them, they're going to question or associate pain now with love. So we do need to ask this one because maybe something happened to you as a child where pain now is associated with some kind of love, right? So I love myself, mean I'm going to give to myself. I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of value. I'm successful. I can, and then just fill in that blank, right? Fill in that blank. I can earn money, right? Yes or no. I'm powerful. I accept myself. I love God. The same thing about God loves me is that I love God. Again, if you have an issue with that word because of past, then change it to something else. But if you're feeling hurt, you might resent God, right? You might resent it. You might be thinking, I'm not making money because God is punishing me, right? I have some kind of karma debt. These are all questions that you can muscle test. I'm angry. I'm living my truth. I'm happy. I deserve joy. I'm abundant. That's a good one to test when it comes to money. I'm fearful. right? So Wendy and I both shared an experience with you that we had people taking money from us. So the fear is that as soon as I get money, somebody's going to take it from me. And so we're going to do everything that we can to get rid of that money as quickly as possible so that nobody else can use it. So that's a fear. My opinion counts. I am a bother. I matter in the eye of others, and I am important. So there could be others. These are just examples, but these are good examples to begin to start that process and to dive down deeper. Okay.
Now, guys, I really want you to pay attention to how these statements are worded. They're not saying, I am not worthy. I am not enough. Whenever you put a contraction of a negative in there, guess what? The brain doesn't hear it. Or whenever you're reprogramming something back in, tapping something back in, you can't use the contraction of a negative contraction, such as not. It's just like, I don't know if you, anybody who has children, right? You say, don't go out that door. Literally, the child's brain only hears go out the door. They don't hear contractions. They don't hear negatives. And so therefore you have to work with the brain. So whatever you're trying to clear, if it's something that's a negative or has a contraction in there, try to go and word it in a different way. So such as instead of I am not worthy, no, I am worthy, right? And then you're still going to get your answer. You know where to go from there. Okay.
Very good ad.
Let's see here. So what programs are running your money experience? So now
Okay.
go ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Oh, okay. So on this one, I really want you guys to focus over here on the colored part of this first, navigating question and answer sessions. Know your questions in advance and possibly clarify those questions, right? That's very key. Anticipate common questions to follow. Need to have your pen and paper all the time ready, right? So get ready for this. Get comfortable, clear your calendar and distractions, shut off your phone, put your phone in a whole nother room, and play calming music. This is going to set that stage for you. And then you're going to begin to identify what obstacles by muscle testing them, and you can check them off so that now you can begin to work on a deeper level with that. There's enough money to go around is a great question to ask when it's coming on our finances, and muscle test that. When you get those basic ones, you can start seeing where there's a pattern that's taken place. So I didn't mean to interrupt, Wendy. So do you have something more to add to that?
No, not at all. So guys, this particular slide is basically the statements that kind of can surround money, that which most people who are in a lack of mentality carry. I remember talking with one of my clients and she said, oh, no, only certain people get money. Only rich people have the right to be rich. There's not enough money for us. And so hence those are statements, right? And there's one in here, there's not enough money for everyone. Or, another one is, only men make the big money, right? Or, I grew up with Christianity and money, and I shouldn't really say this is connected to Christianity, but within our church, it was. The money was evil. If you had a lot of money, man, you're an evil person. So literally what you can take a snapshot of this screen, absolutely. And so these things that you're going to muscle test, making lots of money makes you self-centered. Hypothetically, as a no, go here. And literally 4 years ago, I got yes, because my dad was very wealthy and he was controlling, he was self-centered, he wasn't loving with his money, he wasn't uh a philanthropist, sorry. And that's something I always desired to be, was a philanthropist. So literally, take a snapshot of this particular piece so you can go and test out these particular statements. And there's more statements beyond that. Again, trust yourself. Trust yourself. Any thoughts more there?
Well, so we had a comment in the box here is that people have money blocks from childhood. It's important to understand that these money blocks can also occur when you start in the workforce. So money blocks can begin anywhere, right? Because I've known very successful people who had lots of money, had lots of success, and then just went south because of an idea that was planted in their head about themselves. So it's not necessarily always in your childhood. That's where a lot of it derives from, but you can pick these things up as an adult, especially teenagers. When they start working, they get all of these societal ideas regarding money and their own value and worth. That's why so many of them feel like that they have to go and get a 9-to-5 job. That's something that society taught them. So just to kind of keep that in mind, it can come from anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just think about, guys, if somebody was in your ear constantly going knit, 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 telling you're purple, you're purple, you're purple. I mean, sorry, I'm having to shut my mouth because I want to go someplace different that's currently going on in the world. But if you say it enough, human nature will go, oh, okay. In fact, there was a study that there was a whole line of people, and this guy would come to the first guy and go, okay, what's 2 + 2? 4. And you go, wrong. And you go to the next person. What's 2 + 2? 4. Wrong. Next guy. What's 2 + 2? 4. Wrong. Fourth guy. What's 2 + 2? He didn't want to answer because we like to conform and we like to fit in. So sometimes we have those people that are in our lives that just constantly tell us, and we're like, oh, we just stop your barragement. Okay, what is 2 + 2? It's 5. Okay, it's 5. When we know dang well it's not 5, right? And this is going on in the world, but it also goes on in with our life as well. And that's how, Velvet was basically alluding to how these programs can even come on at any time.
That's exactly right. There's some other questions, but I think we need to hold them till the end. But I don't want anybody to think that we're glazing over that. But it is an important question that we will get to in just a little bit. All right. So once you have the clarification of what needs to be cleared, I'm going to show you a technique of emotional freedom technique, EFT. I'm going to show you who created that, and there's going to be 2 ways, and I'm going to share with you what the difference is and why I find one of them being better than the other. So we're going to learn how to do this, guys. Programs/beliefs, right? Because that's what they are. They're beliefs versus conditions and symptoms in your financial awareness. So I've given you a couple of examples here of what a program or belief is. It's basically going to be a statement. I am unlovable is a negative program or a negative belief that's running in the background that now will produce a condition or a symptom or an effect in your life. So how do I know that I am believing about myself that I'm unlovable? I can do it by muscle testing too, but I can also see the conditions or the effect in my reality, that if I'm being pushed around, that if I'm being rejected, if I'm being abused, then somewhere inside of me, I feel that I am unlovable. I'm going to give you a really quick story and how true this is and how powerful it is. So husband number 3, husband 1, 2, and 3 were very abusive to me. Very, very abusive. And I was that obedient wife, stay at home, do what they say, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. Those of you that know me are like, oh my God, there's no way you could have ever been that way. So one day, my 3rd husband is getting ready for work. I'm all ready for school. I was in x-ray school at the time. And when he's coming at me, he's getting ready to do what he normally does and being ugly and hurtful. And a whole power took over my body. And I was like, wait a minute. I could see it in my mind. And I said, I'm lovable. I love my family. I love my school. I love that I'm an x-ray tech. I have enough love that I can now love him. He doesn't have to love me. Now, none of this was said out loud. It was all said within a flash, right? It's like your life flashed before your eyes. And I come out of it and I'm looking at him, and I kid you not, he looked like he had seen a ghost. He took 3 steps back and that man never touched me again. Now, 3 days later, he's crying and he said, I don't know why, but I need to leave you. I knew exactly why. He no longer fit into the belief that I had about myself. And I now am married and have been for almost 30 years, the most amazing, most lovable individual. And I tell you what, I can be a royal bee on some days, and this man still holds me and still loves me and knows my truth. And he'll even say it. Oh, you really don't mean that because you are the most loving and kind person I've ever met. Right. So, this is how strong when we change these beliefs, our reality, the condition, the effect of our reality begins to change. So, if I believe I was born a sinner, then I'm going to have suffering because that's what the idea between sinning is that you got to suffer. You're not supposed to have money. You're supposed to dress like a pauper. You're supposed to go hungry. No, that's a belief. And it's not a belief that's taught to us anywhere to believe about ourselves. We are taught to believe that we are loved and that God loves us and that we are a higher connection. I work hard, but never have enough. This means that you're working all these hours. You might be working 2 or 3 jobs, but you just can't pay your bills. That's the effect of that belief, that program that's running. No one ever listens to me. Partnerships are strained because people just don't listen to you. You might even have a partner that's going deaf because you're constantly saying, you never listen to me. You never hear me. And now all of a sudden the effect is he's deaf. I never have enough money. So you're struggling financially in every area of your life. So conditions are the things that we can see with our physical eyes, the effects of the beliefs or the programs, the ideas that are being accepted. So we've got to learn that, yes, we might be having these thoughts, but a lot of us are rejecting that we're having thoughts. They're playing off in the background. We don't even know what's happening. But all I have to do is look out in my reality and I can see the contrast of the difference of what I want to experience and what I am experiencing. And that's where you get the effect. And this is going to be really important to know as we move forward in the tapping.
Yes. And so, guys, you're probably very, very excited. Let's get going with that tapping.
So the tapping, Gary Craig, some of you, if you're familiar with emotional freedom technique, you might have already studied him in some way. You might have heard his name at some events, but he literally created this back in 1990s. He did have a wonderful program. Once other people started doing these other techniques, he kind of went off and he did a little bit of a spiritual moving in on a higher power. So he's not really doing EFT. He's kind of taking it into a different direction. But you can see that there are all kinds of individuals out there that are doing EFT and they are originated from Gary, no matter how they are modified. And some of them aren't even modified, right? They've taken his work and they've written books, they do classes. But one of them that you will see, it is modified. And like I said, I will tell you what that difference is. So what it's doing is it's using the body's energetic meridian centers, and you literally are tapping those areas to open up the flow. So it's based on the Chinese medicine of opening that flow. So instead of using an acupuncture needle, we're just tapping. Okay. So what are some of the things that EFT can help with? Well, physical conditions, emotional issues, financial issues. So we've got stress, headaches, physical pain. I watched him do a session with an individual who was absolutely terrified of water, would never get in the water. And so before they can even start, they're having to do the tapping session. And then the man is able to get into water. Well, now it was to be able to get the man's face down in the water. Then it was to be able to get him to swim. And this took about 30 minutes. And within 30 minutes, the man was able to swim across a swimming pool. So this is how powerful this is. A lot of counselors And practitioners use EFT in relationship issues. They're using them with their partners, and the partners are doing the EFT together on particular beliefs and ideas that they have. So it's also good for grief, personal development, social anxieties, even insomnia. And I absolutely love the one for insomnia. But I will tell you a story here, because I had insomnia really bad several years ago after my father-in-law died. And so I was tapping, and as soon as I felt like, oh, good, I'm going to be able to go to sleep, I kept waking up. And I was like, wow, I know I tapped. I know I want to go to sleep. I'm tapping the wrong thing. And what I discovered by tapping insomnia, that I had a fear of falling asleep because I feared I wasn't going to wake back up. So then I had to do that tapping. I happened to be in Galveston at the time. And once I did that tapping for the fear of that I wasn't going to be able to wake up, I never had that again. All right. So this is a very powerful tool. All right. So Wendy, do you have something on this, or can we go to the next slide?
Yeah. So guys, so you can see by so far everything we shared, you are your own investigator on yourself, on your own thoughts, your feelings, and finding your barricades.
That's right. So in Gary's tapping points, they're pretty general, and you also have to sing happy birthday, happy birthday to you, or whatever it is that he has. So he always started with the karate chop, and then he goes through the eyes, underneath the nose, the chin, the clavicles, underneath both of the arms, and then on top of the head. That can take some time. It's very effective. But the way that they did it is that they would just tap. Okay, he would just tap these areas and check back in. So Wendy, if you'll go to the next one, we're going to talk about Robert Gene Smith. And Robert Gene Smith does the faster EFT tapping recipe. This is the one that I'm telling you, when I had my clinic, this just transformed my clients' lives. I think let me tell you what the difference here is. So even though we're still working at a main issue, the point is one, you're going to locate what that issue is. And let's say that it's a fear of falling asleep. You're going to measure that from 1 to 10, 10 being that I'm very, very afraid of that, and 1 being that I'm not very afraid of that. And when you tap, we're not going to do all of Gary's tapping. We're going to tap the exact points that Robert has found very effective. So it's only at the top or right between the eyes, at the side of the eyes, underneath the eyes, 1 clavicle or the other. You don't have to do both. And then you're going to grab your wrist. All right. So I think, Wendy, I have this on the next slide. Let's check. If not, we'll come back. Yes. So why this has become my favorite way of tapping is because it always hits the bullseye. It always hits the bullseye. And here's why. Because now you're not focused on not being able to swim, or that you're afraid of not waking up. You are now literally commanding your body to let this go. You are literally commanding your body to let this go. So let's choose. Wendy, I'm going to let you choose or maybe other people want to chime in on this. What is a money block that a lot of people would like to see changed? And we do want to go back to that other slide, because we want to make sure they can see this, even though we're going to do it together. But what would be a money block that a lot of people would like to see resolved? Is it that I never have enough?
It could be I'm financially successful.
All right, so I'm
No.
not financially successful.
No.
In this.
Remember, you want to keep the negatives out. So I'm financially successful. No.
Okay, so yes, when you're doing the testing, yeah, muscle testing, she's right. But with the EFT, we are going to do that. So which one do you think that it is?
What do you mean?
Okay, so Jody put one, I never have enough money.
There you go.
So everybody test that, just like what Wendy said, muscle test it, and how you want to do it is that I always have enough money. Do you get a yes or do you get a no? I always have enough money. Is that going to be a yes or a no? Okay, so Jody's saying she's got a no. Most people probably are going to say a no. That's why they're enjoying this class with us. All right, so Karen also is saying that she got a no also. So that's the one that we're going to do, is that I always have enough money, always have enough money. So on the testing, I'm just writing this down so I don't forget because I can get wrapped up. In the EFT, we're going to say, I never have enough money. I never have enough money. And you guys are muted, so say it and tap right between the eyes. I never have enough money. Let it go. Let this idea go and say these to yourself. It's okay to let this idea go. It's okay to let this belief go. It's safe for me to let this go. This no longer serves me. It's safe to let this idea go. You're underneath your eye. And now your clavicle, just let this go. It doesn't serve me. This idea does not serve me. Just let it go. Now grab your wrist, take a deep breath in and blow it out. And as you do, at the end, say peace. And you want to say that peace out loud. So when I do this with my clients, I'm actually the one that's saying this, move it around, and then I have them say peace. Now, on a scale from 1 to 10, remember we had you measure it. Where are you now on that scale? Do you feel that there was a shift? I'm going to look in the chat and see.
Even if you didn't measure it beforehand, guys, if you say, okay, on a scale to 1 and 10, whatever our statement was, I kind of forgot already. Is it between 1 and 5? Yes. Is it?
Oh, yes, and we're getting, they felt the shift. This is powerful. It's very
Good.
powerful. Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this again, and you're going to only listen to my voice as I go through these. Okay. So let's do it together again. Tap in the center of your brow. Wow. I used to think that I never had enough money, and I just completely let that idea go. And tap to the side of your eye. It was so good to let that idea go. There's no way that there's not enough money. I live in an abundant world. Now, you don't have to say these, you're just listening. Now, underneath the eye, oh, it was so safe for me to let that go. I know that I am safe and secure. I know that I am always provided for. This life is abundant. It is so abundant. By your clavicle, I just love that I am so abundant. I love that I have so much money around me all the time. I know that I am deserving of this money. Now take your wrist, take a deep breath in, blow it out. Peace. Now say peace out loud when you say that. All right. Now, everybody chime in. How do you feel? Oh, Sheree's saying she's smiling. Feel good. Yes. More energy, more uplifting. Very good. So now when you think about, now here's the true test, right? Now you're going to muscle test just like you did before, and you're going to test, I always have enough money, and test it and see what you get this time. And you can put it in the chat box. Do you get a yes this time rather than a no? Is that I always have enough money? Karen goes, wow. And Carol says, strong, yes. And so easy. And Jody got a yes. Anne got a yes. Awesome. So I love Robert's technique because it's quick, it's simple. You can do it in the car. You can, and Dr. Steve says super strong. That's absolutely wonderful. It's quick, easy. All right. So everybody relax a second. And Wendy, let's go ahead and go to the other slide, but I still want to share with them something on this. So choose a statement and y'all take a screenshot of it. Okay. Choose a statement, a program that you would like to see improved. And then do like what Wendy suggested, do the muscle testing in the affirmative, either get your yes or no. And you're going to measure the charge. And what that means is that when you say to yourself, I never have enough money, is that a 0 to a 10? 10 being that that's a lot of pain for me. I'm emotionally attached to this idea. And then you're going to tap it out just like what we did. And then you'll reevaluate until it's clear. And then you will retest. Now, let's say, for instance, we did something a little bit more difficult. Is that I'm always provided for. All right. So I'm always provided for, let it go. Well, actually, I'm not provided for when we're going to let that go. So we get a no that I'm not provided for, right? So we muscle test. I'm always provided for. We get a no. I'm never provided for. So let it go. It's safe to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And then grab your wrist and peace. Take that breath in. And let's say you still have a high charge. Now I'm going to ask you, when was the first time that you felt that you weren't provided for? And now you're going to be able to say, oh, I remember when. So Wendy, this is a good point to go to the next slide because this is extremely important. Oh, the other slide was removed then. So go back up to the other one that we were at. I think the slide about the talking too much, I don't know if we've got it, but okay. What you want to be very careful of when you're working with somebody doing this and when you're doing it with yourself is don't talk too much. So you get the clients that want to say, oh, I remember when my mom left me and my dad and I didn't have any food. Nope, 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 no. Stop there. We're going to stop that. So the moment that you weren't provided for was when your mother wasn't at home, right? So that is tied into the programming, but the story is what keeps it locked in. The story is what validates the reason that we need to hang on to that programming. And so we want to not validate it. We don't want to anchor it. We just simply want to say, when my mother wasn't home, when my mother wasn't there for me, let it go. Just let it go. It's safe to let it go. It's okay for me to let it go. And when you do that with your client, and folks, I know a lot of people ask me this, that memory will fade away. And one of my clients asked me one time, she goes, I cannot recall that memory now. The memory was what was holding in the negative energy. And so you now become the person that you want to be. Your life changes because of this. And so when the client had said that to me, I said, well, you know what? Let's just continue. You go home next week when we meet. I want to know what's going on in your life. Her reality changed. Her husband was nice to her. Her kids were calm. She found a new job because the memory now had been transformed. And being able to let that go, she was able to feel safe and be able to be provided for. So it's pretty powerful. But as Wendy has on that next slide, and Wendy, you might want to add something to what I said. We just want to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. If you're riding down the road, wow, he pissed me off. He just rode out in front of me. Let it go. He just cut me off. It's safe to let that go. I'm okay to let this go. Just let it go. Just let it go. And breathe in, blow out, and say peace. And pay attention to how quickly your reality will change. Okay.
Thank you. So as we alluded to earlier, guys, in our second or third slide where you saw a Tinkerbell, ding, right? This is where you come in. Why? Because we can walk you down the path. We can show you all the tools. We can help guide you and give you vision. But ultimately, the only time change ever occurs in your life is when you apply it, you focus, you deprogram and reprogram yourself. It all stems, starts, and ends with you. You have the power within yourself. Myself and Velvet, we have been in this world doing this walk, this path for 3-4 decades. And we're here to provide you the information. We don't want you to become dependent on either one of us. We want to empower you so you do this for yourself. And that's why we're here today. So moving on, as we're coming close to our hour and a half here. So acquiring or creating money is really equivalent to an airplane needing to land. You need to clear that runway. So we've given you the tools to find out what's in your runway, how to find it out. We've given you a tool as to how to clear that specific thing out of your runway. Now, I want to be really clear though. Hypothetically, let's say you went down the path and you cleared out everything you could think of when it came to triggers or programs or statements, whatever, that had anything to do with money. And man, that's clear. To you, the runway is clear. That plane of money can land finally. But the thing is we have to be in a vibration where we are literally creating money. And you're going to learn more about that in our times to come. And basically, if you're in a lower vibration, in other words, if I cleared out everything about money, and at the same time, I'm sitting here going, oh yes, guys, this is a wonderful day. And all of a sudden a dog, my next door neighbor thing, whatever, is barking around. And in my mind, I'm going, oh, I hate that dog. Oh, I wish that dog would just shut up. Oh, that somebody's knocking on the door and it's just constantly interrupting me. Oh, or if you have a job, right? Oh, I can't stand my boss. If you have those, that's why we talked about observe your thoughts, not only for yourself, but towards other things. Those two are lower vibrations. Those two are things that you need to work on. Forget the new ones, tapping out. And yeah, so I'm safe about the dog, and I'm safe with distractions, and I'm safe with the job that I'm at, etc. And so use these tools to clear out anything that which you're triggered about, because that will create more garbage, blockades, obstacles in your runway in order for your plane to land. Once you clear out all these things and you're in a higher vibration, then the universe goes, oh, we've got some room to do some serious creating and bring in, more money. And yes, you are creating it with your focus.
Yeah, it's important to also not judge that as well. Like creating money, all of us have a different way of what money represents to us. So I like my car because it's functional, but somebody might like a Lamborghini. So just because somebody is driving a Lamborghini doesn't mean that they have more wealth or prosperity than I do. It just means that that's what my idea of wealth is. I want something that's functional. So, and I bring this up because there was a comment that was made on a whole different post and said, oh, well, I bet that you're living the life of the dream and you have everything that you want now. Well, you don't grow when you have everything you want. Our growth comes from understanding what we want to experience and being able to give ourselves permission to have that experience and to grow. So, don't let those naysayers say, oh, that doesn't work because you live in the house that you do. No, I live in the house that I do because it provides me the freedom to do the other things that I want to do, right? Or, yeah, Wendy, you got something to say.
Or because Velvet worked on her stuff and she created the house she currently lives in The person
That's
that's
right.
judging her is judging from their own programs, going, oh, why do you have that? Or gosh, you have that and I don't. That's another whole program. So that's why everybody's walking their own little path, guys.
Exactly. And it makes a whole. And I absolutely love that I created my house. I did. And I literally did. Like I saw it in my head, I saw it online. And then the next thing somebody said, oh, you need to go down to so and so and look at that community there. And when I stepped into the house, I said, oh my gosh, this is the house that I built in my mind. Right. And then after we bought our house, that community disappeared. Guys, we are powerful. We are powerful. So don't judge somebody else's wealth or financial status just because of what you see they have or don't have. And I will tell you, a lot of people make a misjudgment about farmers too, because they think they walk around in their grubby clothes and that they don't have any money in their pocket. They'll go and lay down cash before you know what to do. Right. So pay attention to what you're believing. And if you have that idea about somebody, tap it out.
Yep. And guys, this is just this is a process. This is just a path. And we're putting one foot in front of the other. And just like Velvet said, well, if I get all the money, then I'm going to get everything I want. No. Do you still want the same things that you did when you were 5? I know when I was 5, I was just thinking about candy, right? So no, you are constantly evolving. You're constantly wanting to create. You're constantly wanting to grow, wanting to be more empowered, bringing in more power. More power you bring in, the more alignment you're in, the more you are going to be aspired. Aspired is when within you're getting ideas, right? From the divine, from your spiritual essence. Inspired is when something outside of you is inspiring you. But when you get to that space of being aspired, yeah, you're going to want more things. And wanting is not bad. And that's something you also might want to test, is wanting bad.
That's
Some
right.
people have made that a program in our life. And no, wanting is like, oh, I know what I want. So I know what I'm going to focus on. And with my focus, I'm going to bring it into fruition.
That's
Creation.
right.
Creation.
Beautiful.
So guys, with money, you're learning new verbiage from us, and that's going to continue to change. I don't think anybody here, but somebody might say, oh my gosh, I decided to just dive right in, and it's not like I want money. It's easy. Well, okay, I'm going to pick up my glasses, and that's going to be that fast. We are not here for the end result. I'm not looking for the instant gratification, even though I guarantee you, instant gratification sometimes is just fantastic. But we're more here for the journey. We're more here to learn and to see. I mean, honestly, if I didn't ever open up personal development and training, over a year ago, I would and stayed tuned and paid attention to a certain group thread, I would have never met Velvet. And oh my gosh, we have so much in common. And now we're just living our dream as far as sharing this information for you guys to go ahead and to build off of and to empower yourselves with.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So guys, this is the end of part 1. We thank you so much for participating and regaining your knowledge, regaining your power, course 1. If you'd like to reach out to either one of us, there's my information down below. That's basically just a group that I created in Telegram. And then Dr. Velvete, she has her email down there, and you can welcome to reach out to her via email as well. I was hoping to have on here the Venmo, little square, the QR code. So if you did want to donate, you could. If you do want this information, this video in your library, and you'd like to, then just let me know and let me know who you'd like to donate to, myself or Velvet. It doesn't matter. We are not going to bend over and get our nose out of joint. We're just grateful. That's all, because energy is exchanging. We're very grateful. So let me know, and we'll go ahead and share that QR code, and then you can lay your donation, and then I'll send you that replay so you can have it with you at all times. All right, with that, I'd like to open it up for questions.
While we're waiting for a question, I want to say that I am a true believer that when you put anything good out in the universe, it comes back to you in unexpected ways. And I absolutely love that. So I might help an individual, but then I'm always provided for that in a way that I didn't expect or anticipate. So that's another form of manifestation, of trusting that the universe is taking care of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jody, to answer your question, I don't know about Velvet, but I will be here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm sure Velvet will join me when she can and when her schedule allows. And it will be announced within a Telegram group. So if you're not part of a Telegram group, reach out to me. I'm going to put my telephone number in the chat if you're not on this group. And I'm trying to find it. So that's why I'm kind of stalling with my words here for a minute. It's
Well,
go ahead.
no, I was going to just fill in, but if you've got it, go ahead.
Yeah. Unified Personal Development. Can you see that, guys? Looks like it's not.
Not really, but
Yeah.
it's Unified Personal Development.
Yeah. And you're not going to find it. So if you're not in it, then text me and say, can you please send me the link? The other place that you can of course reach out and connect with Velvet via her email. You can reach out and connect to me in my Wendy Morgan spiritual. Hang on, I'm trying to get to it. There we go. Come on. No, it's not what I'm doing. I'm Wendy Morgan, spiritual mentor. That should be open to everybody via the public inside Telegram. And that's the link that I shared with you guys. So we'll give announcements. If, like, for instance, if you missed one and you are not requiring the replay of that, then you might, well, whatever. If you miss one, and all the announcements will be, put up, and we'll let you know, because sometimes we might give you a lot to really work on. So we might give you 2 weeks. So we might spread it out and not have another meeting the following, or maybe we'll just have a Q&A, in between there, but not necessarily any training.
Well, we have a question in there that Jenny's asking that was from a previous question and a comment that I made to her about the lady who was moving forward, and hers was a no. My husband has dyslexia, so when he muscle tests, everything's in reverse. So there are people that will get an opposite. So the way that you know whether it has anything to do with hydration or not is, what is their typical response, right? What is the normal response for them? And they'll get to know what that correct answer is. Now, if your typical response is moving forward for a yes, and then one day you say, show me no, and it goes forward, then hydrate, then retest yourself and see what answer you get. But if you're doing somebody who has the neural pathways backwards, they'll have an opposite response in a lot of cases. Yeah, you're welcome, Jenny.
So question to that, Velvet, would brain balancing help or not necessarily?
Not necessarily when
yeah, I was just hoping to give you guys an extra tool, but I'm not. So thank you for answering the question.
Yeah, and on that next one regarding jewelry, that doesn't impact my muscle testing. Some people feel that it does, but that's not really coming from an electromagnetic force. That's coming from within you of an answer. So the only way that you really kind of know that answer is testing it both ways. What one's easier? But I'm glad I don't take my jewelry off, because if I'm in a store and I need muscle test, I don't want to take everything off. So
point. That's a good point. All right. Any other questions?
And thank you guys for the questions. That was really good.
Oh, yeah. Jody, please unmute yourself.
Hi, this was great. A couple of questions. I know I was asking about logistical just real quick because I'd have to plan. So, and then I want to ask a little question about just sort of on our topic. So, I didn't know about this till yesterday. Obviously, it was, happened for a reason. So is this every Thursday for like a month or 2 months? Or, I mean, because I do have something usually at 11 and I'm like thinking, am I going to need to change that? If and then you said something about I can donate if I want to get, I'm just kind of curious, like the logistical, so I can plan if I really do need to change this other thing, because I think this is really valuable. That's my first question.
Well, thank you so much for that. And yes, great question. So yes, I will be here every Thursday at 11 o'clock. If for some reason that we're not having it, I will remind people that we're not having it within the Unified Personal Development and or my personal website, which is Wendy Morgan Spiritual Mentor within Telegram. That will be announced there. But more likely it will, I mean, I'm saying like 99% time, it'll be 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. It'll be happening. If for whatever you can't make it that day, or excuse me, that hour, let's put it that way, I will try I will do for anyone who can't make it that hour. Reach out to me ASAP. You know, I can't make it this Thursday. Can you please send me the replay? I will send and make it so the replay is available for that day and that day only to the people who cannot make it. After that day, you know, if you want to go ahead.
Randall.
Sorry.
Okay.
But after that day, if you do want to have it in your repertoire, then you just a donation and whatever you feel it is, you know, worth to you. We're not going to judge you if it's $5 or if it's, you know, $150. We're just grateful. We're just grateful.
So is this, just to understand this, so each week is a different topic? Is it always about an hour and a half? Is it a different topic? I mean, this one was like, I really needed this, but do you do different things, or is it how to use EFT and these things, or is it totally different? I'm just curious.
Great question. So yes, this today was the start of the deprogramming, reprogramming money, basically. And this will last out roughly 6 to 8 weeks. We will see, you know, as Velvete and I start to, I mean, today we just added on, you know, learning how to dowse and pendulum and going over guided imagery and I'm Agape. And that's probably what I'm going to do next week. And if you know, I haven't discussed it with Velvete yet. She's always invited, but she might have other plans nevertheless. But yes, so we're going to go over next week. So theoretically, it might go 6 weeks. It might go 8 weeks. After that, if that series is done and closed, then I will go ahead and we'll talk about something else. So it might then for a change to something different.
And it's usually about an hour and a half.
Yeah, hour to hour and a half.
And then just thank you for that. I guess I will text you to get the information to go forward, because this is all new to me. But I just wanted to make sure I kind of got this right, is that when you're doing, the first step is to do muscle testing, you say it in the positive, like, let's just say I am enough. Let's just say that's it. And if I get a yes, then I don't have to do anything about it. If I get a no, then I can go into the muscle testing, and there is where I say I am not enough. And I'm just kind of trying, if I have that right, and I'm just kind of trying to remember why you do it that way, because it seems so odd to me to say I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I'm not enough.
Right. So I learned it, and so what I'm about to say is actually clarification to Velvete. When I learned tapping, for instance, if I learned I'm enough, no, right? Then I would tap out I'm enough, no. I'm enough, no. I'm enough, no. And then I go back through I'm enough, yes. I'm enough, yes. I'm enough, yes.
And that's one of the reasons why we don't use the statement when we're doing it, is that it's okay to let this go, because you're only saying what the belief is. So the belief you're letting go. It's safe to let this go. I let it go. I'm okay to let this go. I am absolutely safe to let it go. So we do not do that statement. Now, there is another part of it, and we will have to cover that another time, because I know we were short in time, but we do type in a positive statement, but it's okay to leave it like it is right now.
Okay. So you would say, so if I come up with, I'm enough, and it comes up with a no, then I could just tap, what I think I'm not enough. That's the actual negative.
I'm not enough. I let this go.
I'm not enough. I let this go. And then you go to the different pieces.
I'm safe to let it go.
Safe to let this go. Okay. Okay. And then you said at the end, if you still feel kind of not so great about it, you can say, when was the first time this happened? Is that what you were getting at? Or?
I would do it again. I would just run through it again and see what thoughts come up for you on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Why don't you
Appreciate
take a screenshot
Okay.
of, is it this one?
Yeah, right there. 20. Yep. Mhm.
Yep. So take a
Okay.
screenshot of it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And when we do these in a deeper way, you guys, you're going to just be floored because you begin to laugh. We just don't have time to do that today. But we'll have to revisit this EFT. And when you realize how silly it is and how wonderful it is, it's just amazing. And you'll want to help other people with it as well.
Right. All right, loves, we have to close this down because I actually have another appointment I have to jet off to. So thank you very much for joining me. Much love. Thank you so much, Velvete. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. Everybody have a great week or weekend.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.